The judge sneered, the prosecutor smirked, and the courtroom had already condemned her in their minds. To everyone in that room, she was just another arrogant woman who overestimated her rights. But when she silently pulled out a small leather case and flipped it open, the air grew heavy, and faces turned ghostly pale. The judge realized he had just sealed a fate, but not hers. It all started a little earlier. The courtroom felt like a pressure cooker, thick with tension and the stale scent of cheap coffee and old leather seats. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly yellow glow over everything. At the center of it all sat Judge Henry Caldwell, white, mid-60s, with a blotchy red face and permanent bags under his eyes. The kind of guy who looked like he drank his breakfast and hated his job but loved the power it gave him. He wasn't just a judge. He was the judge in this town. The one who laughed at appeals, smirked at defense lawyers, and made sure that people like her never forgot their place. Caldwell leaned back in his chair, chewing gum like he had all the time in the world. Then, with a loud slap, he dropped the case file onto his desk and squinted at the words like they personally offended him. His lips curled. Amber Watson, black female, 34, charged with obstructing justice. He let out a loud, wheezing laugh. Not a polite chuckle, not a measured, judicial response. A full-body, head-thrown-back laugh, like someone had just told him the funniest joke of his life. Amber sat motionless in the defendant's chair, tall, poised, her black blazer crisp and unbothered. Her deep brown eyes locked onto the judge, unreadable. She didn't shift, didn't blink. And yet, the calmer she stayed, the louder Caldwell laughed. "Oh, sweetheart, this is going to be fun." He gripped his gavel, his smirk widening. "So let me guess. You think you're special? That you can just walk around this city like the law doesn't apply to you? That you're some kind of exception?" His tone was pure mockery, dripping with amusement. "Maybe you got confused with some village back in Africa, where you can do whatever you want." A few people in the courtroom shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting anywhere but the judge's direction. But nobody said a word. Amber still didn't move. Caldwell leaned forward, clearly entertained. "Oh, I see what this is. You're one of those strong black women, huh?" He rolled his eyes. "Let me guess, you're about to hit me with some powerful speech about injustice? Maybe talk about how the system is against you?" He clutched his chest in fake distress. "Oh, Judge, the world is so unfair to me." He let out another loud laugh, then waved a hand dismissively. "Yes, sweetheart, I don't care. See, that's the thing. There are no cameras here, no reporters, no social media warriors to come running to your rescue. Just me, my courtroom, my rules." His smirk sharpened. "And you're just another nobody who made the mistake of thinking she was somebody." Silence. Amber's expression didn't change. For the first time, something flickered in Caldwell's face. Annoyance, maybe. He was used to people cracking under pressure. The fact that she just sat there, staring at him like he was nothing, was clearly getting under his skin. He cleared his throat, tapping the gavel against his desk. "All right then, let's get this show started." And just like that, the trial began. The trial was a joke, and everyone in the courtroom knew it. A bad joke. The kind that drags on too long, gets more ridiculous by the second, and leaves a nasty aftertaste. The prosecutor, a lanky man with the personality of a damp towel, stood at his podium, droning through a list of exaggerated charges like he was reading a bedtime story. Amber Watson was apprehended at the scene of the crime. She refused to comply with lawful police orders, became hostile, and attempted to flee. During her arrest, she resisted, striking an officer in the face. Judge Caldwell sipped from his glass of water, watching with the satisfaction of a man who already knew the outcome. He leaned back in his chair, fingers tapping lazily on the desk, a smirk playing at the corner of his mouth. Well, a little panther with claws. He let out a low chuckle, shaking his head. "Attacking our brave officers? Now that's a plot twist." A few snickers rippled through the courtroom. Amber, still composed, still unreadable, sat motionless. If this whole circus act bothered her, she wasn't showing it. But then, she did something no one expected. She tilted her head, ever so slightly, and spoke. Let's clarify something, Your Honor. Where exactly were your heroes? Caldwell blinked. Excuse me? She turned to the prosecutor, her voice calm. Where were the officers when they decided I was a threat? The prosecutor frowned, flipping through his papers. They were at the precinct after detaining you. Amber exhaled through her nose, almost like she was holding back a laugh. No, I mean before that. Where were they when they first laid eyes on me? Caldwell huffed, waving a dismissive hand. Obviously on duty doing their jobs. Amber's lips twitched into something that wasn't quite a smile. They were at a bar. Silence. The prosecutor glanced at his notes again, stalling. I beg your pardon? Amber leaned forward slightly. I said they were at a bar, drinking, talking, saying things like, black women are just as aggressive as their men, laughing about how we run our mouths too much. And then one of them had an idea. Let's have some fun tonight. Caldwell's smirk stiffened. That's ridiculous. Even if it were true, so what? Amber gave him a slow, deliberate nod. So what? She let the words hang in the air before answering. So, that night they decided to follow me. They decided I was their fun. Only problem, I wasn't the victim they were looking for. The air in the courtroom shifted. The prosecutor's fingers tightened around his pen. You're accusing police officers of targeting you? He tried to sound appalled, but there was something else in his tone. Unease. Amber exhaled, shaking her head. I'm saying they thought I was an easy target, that they were wrong. And if any of you had even half a brain, you'd already be asking yourselves one question. Caldwell rolled his eyes. Oh, please, and what question is that? Amber's voice was razor sharp. Why am I the one on trial? The room went completely still. Even Caldwell, for the briefest second, hesitated. Then, like flipping a switch, he scoffed, bringing his gavel down with a dull thud. Oh, sweetheart, I admire your confidence. Really, I do. But let's be honest. This isn't some dramatic courtroom movie. You don't have proof. And in this room, without proof? He smirked. You're just another loud voice nobody's gonna listen to. Amber didn't flinch. Instead, she reached into the pocket of her blazer. Silently, deliberately. Caldwell watched her, the smirk still glued to his face. And then, she pulled out something small and black. She flipped it open. The air in the courtroom shifted again. Caldwell's smirk vanished. The prosecutor's pen slipped from his fingers. Because there, gleaming under the courtroom lights, was a badge. Not just any badge. A United States Secret Service badge. Amber met Caldwell's stunned gaze, her voice steady. You were saying, Your Honor? A cough echoed through the courtroom. Someone shifted in their seat. A creak from an old wooden bench sounded unnaturally loud in the heavy silence. Judge Caldwell tapped his fingers against the desk, impatience flickering across his face. He expected Amber to pull out some flimsy paperwork, maybe a statement, some complaint about police misconduct. The usual. The kind of thing he could dismiss with a smirk and a wave of his gavel. But that's not what happened. Instead, Amber reached into her blazer, moving slow, deliberate. No urgency, no panic. Just calculated precision. For the first time that day, Caldwell's smirk wavered. Then, she pulled out a small black leather case. A hush fell over the room. The prosecutor's pen slipped from his fingers, hitting the floor with a soft clatter. Caldwell squinted, trying to get a better look, but by the time he realized what he was staring at, it was already too late. Amber flipped the case open. A silver emblem gleamed under the harsh courtroom lights. The words on the badge were unmistakable. United States Secret Service. The room froze. Caldwell's breath hitched. The prosecutor paled. The jury exchanged wide-eyed glances. Amber didn't move. She let the weight of the moment sink in. Let them absorb the reality of their situation. Then finally she lifted her gaze, pinning Caldwell with a look so sharp it could have cut through steel. Her voice was calm, steady, icy. I am a special agent with the United States Secret Service, and you, Your Honor, just made the single worst mistake of your career. Caldwell's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Nothing came out. Amber raised an eyebrow. No witty remark? No smug little comment? She tilted her head. You had so much to say 5 minutes ago. Caldwell finally found his voice, but it was weaker, more uncertain. This is ridiculous. If you were really... Amber cut him off. I would finish that sentence carefully if I were you. The words weren't a threat, they were a promise. A bead of sweat rolled down the prosecutor's temple. Amber exhaled through her nose, shaking her head slightly. Let me explain what's about to happen. She gestured around the room. Right now, every single person in this courtroom is reconsidering their life choices. And you're realizing that for the first time in your career, you don't hold the power in this room. I do. Caldwell gripped his gavel like it was a life raft. This changes nothing. You were arrested. You broke the law. Amber let out a slow, humorless chuckle. You really don't get it, do you? She leaned forward. I wasn't resisting arrest. I was refusing to be kidnapped. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Caldwell stiffened. The prosecutor looked like he wanted to be anywhere but here. Amber sighed. I was on an active investigation. You want to know why those officers targeted me? She let that hang in the air for a second. Because I was investigating them. A collective intake of breath, Caldwell visibly tensed. Amber shook her head. And now, because of you, this case just went federal. If Caldwell had any color left in his face, it drained completely. Amber let the silence stretch just long enough to burn. Then, with one final glance around the room, she tucked her badge away and smoothed out her blazer. Your Honor, she said, standing up, you're officially dismissed. And just like that, the power shifted. What would you do in his place? How would you handle this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us if you or someone you know has ever experienced something like this. Leave a like if this story resonated with you, and share it to help shed light on an issue that affects so many. This story was created for a reason, to reveal the truth, raise awareness, and make the world a little fairer. Your opinion matters.